Okay, hi. I'm going to give you an argument as to why this I don't believe in this kind of God that's described in Christianity or Islam. There are different reasons why I don't believe it, but the main one of the big ones is this. And religious people have never been able to give me a effective counter to this argument. Well, supposedly this God created the world, all the people in it, and he's watching us all the time and all this, but pretty horrible things happen in the world all the time, and this God never intervenes to stop them. One example is, let's say a child is raped and murdered. First of all, how can this supposedly loving, all-knowing God, how can he sit back and watch this? I mean, this is being done to a creature he supposedly loves, his creation that he supposedly loves, by another one of his creations that, obviously he created. Now, doesn't he have some kind of responsibility for this? I mean, something went wrong here. Whether it's the society, but he's watching over society. Why doesn't he make a better society? Why doesn't he make better people? I mean, I could never sit back and watch a child being raped and murdered, but supposedly this God can do that. And religious say, well, he can't interfere. Well, why not? Why don't he at least make the guy have a heart attack? And some of these, people, like serial killers, have done this, again and again. What's the logic in that? Again, I mentioned we defenders. And then, religious people often say to this, well, he needs to test us. Well, first of all, I don't understand why he needs to test us. Doesn't he? Can he see the future? Doesn't he know all? Why not just make better people that don't do wrong? And for example, he could make people that like a lot of animals don't kill. Why do people have to kill? Or he could make people without such strong sex drives. Wouldn't that solve a lot of problems? If we were there are certain species of gorillas that even though they have harems and stuff, they only have sex just to reproduce. Why can people be like that? Wouldn't that solve all the problems of people going to hell for rape and infidelity and all that kind of stuff? And another thing the people often say is, well, free will. Well, in the case of the child being raped and murdered, what about that child's free will? How is that child going to be tested? Is that child going to go straight to hell, or is that child going to heaven? Well, obviously the child goes straight to hell and is tortured for all eternity. I mean, that's a whole nother argument. Why torture people for all eternity? Let's say you did bad. I can see someone like Hitler deserving torture maybe for a while, but for all eternity? And some of these people supposedly are being tortured with fire, sadistically tortured for all eternity just for following the wrong religion. Isn't that pretty sick? And what if supposedly this child that's being raped and murdered, what if that was Hitler? What if Hitler had died as a young child? Would Hitler have gone to heaven? That's if you so by that logic, if we can prevent these people from being tortured brutally for all eternity by killing them as children. And what about a child? Let's say, I'll give an example of the Khmer Rouge. They would force children into their ranks and brutalize them and brainwash them and make them obey every order, and then tell them to go out and kill. And they would commit horrible atrocities, and many of these children died when they were fighting for the Khmer Rouge. Now, are those because they murdered and killed, they should be being tortured for all eternity by this God right now for something that they couldn't help. That was just they were forced in a situation, and that a young mind is easily influenced and brainwashed, and they did this horrible thing because they were told to. So it's either we're being tested. Supposedly, there's all the problems in the world. God allows all this to test us. Well, but some people seems like they're either going straight to hell when they couldn't help it, or they're skipping the test and going straight to heaven. So there's just no logic in believing this religious line. So if anyone can give me effective counter argument to this, I'd like to hear it. Thank you.